going to sign off because we're not teaching. That's a problem to me. That's a big problem to me. All right. So because of that, we're going to have a pop quiz today. All right. Based on, so if you jumped off of that call, I hope that you reviewed that presentation. Okay. So Carlos, based on what I hope you reviewed, what were some of the main takeaways from that presentation last week?
I can't really tell you.
All right. Govinder, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Do you have some of the takeaways from last week?
I hate to be a disappointment. I can't even remember off the top of my head right now.
All right. Matt, did you read the recording? Juliana, were you able to review the recording?
Yes, I did.
What were the same takeaways?
So I got that you're supposed to have at least 5 stories memorized to flip on your experience. You have to make your weakness, basically, not make it like a weakness, but like kind of almost have like the least like quality you're looking for. Make that almost like your weakness and kind of make that almost into a strength. And then I also know to like flip it on the interview for what they're looking for, like their needs. That's what I got. Right?
Thank you. Appreciate that. Brittany.
Hey, hi, how are you today?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm doing quite well.
So based on your discussions with Cynthia, what were your takeaways? I know you were on there and you were having discussions.
Yes, so some of the takeaways I got from Cynthia where we definitely need to have stories memorized and prepared before we go into, and it's better to tell the interviewers what they should know because most of the time they're not very good and they have no idea what questions they need to ask to get the information they want. So we need to give them the information without them asking. On top of that, we also need to be able to recollect things and turn our weaknesses into strengths. And once again, you can do that telling stories. We want to make sure we set up the instance, outline the instance, and then say the problem and the solution.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Noah, I know you were on there. Thank you for that.
Welcome. So definitely the 5 stories she wants us to memorize that we could take instances from to give the interviewer when they ask us questions. Doing our best to stay on topic. Like she mentioned, if we know a mutual person, not to spend an hour talking about that same person. It's better to like keep the conversation focused on yourself and what you could do to help them solve problems. And turning, when they ask you what your weakness is, to turn that into a positive something.
All right, perfect. Thank you for that. Rachel?
Yeah, so having the 5 behavioral-based stories and then being able to use just like one of those stories for multiple questions. I know that for my example, she said, oh, if they were to ask this, you could refer to that story that you just used. So you would say like, oh, referring back to the story I just talked about, here's like another example from it. On top of that, she said to be active on LinkedIn and make sure all of your socials are cleaned up and they look professional. She said a lot of times they look for LinkedIn profiles, like the activity, what you're posting, what you're liking, etc. On top of that, flipping like what they want, like kind of basing what you're talking about off of that. So, you know, they have a need to fill. So you have to make sure that you're explaining how you can fill that need, how you can be on a team, but then also work individually, and then how you're also very organized with your work. So just like kind of going off of that.
Excellent. Yeah, so that was some of the most important things to take away, in that, you know, she kept referring to LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is one of the best resources, you know, available. Just as we've been talking, I had a founder of a company in the UK that wants to catch up about some things within their supply chain. You know, they're a make to order sustainable shoe manufacturer. You know, so they have some issues and they want to talk about that. So if you build your brand, if you have that presence on LinkedIn, you're going to kind of jumpstart your career. You know, we had a session across all campuses last week for the project and supply chain management program. And one of the sections we talked about for about an hour and 10 minutes is LinkedIn. You know, the importance of getting you all on LinkedIn, the importance of you all using LinkedIn Learning. So we're trying to actually standardize, you know, the LinkedIn Learning classes that you all review, you know, based on class. So you're not duplicating like the same project management class in 2 classes. You know, so we had that discussion and trying to work with that throughout all campuses, throughout all the programs, because we do have different different books and layouts and things like that. But from a LinkedIn Learning perspective, we're trying to standardize that so you're not duplicating efforts. So, you know, it's very important, and it goes to us as well. I mean, we had professors say, Justin, how you got this? How you got it on LinkedIn? You know, so it's not just for students, it's for everyone. You know, and so it's all about building your brand and having that presence, and that's what she was referring to. So I just can't stress enough. So I apologize if I just went off the handle a little bit. I apologize. Okay, but this is what's very important to me, is to prepare you all once you leave the institution. That's my number one goal. It's not just to get this education. It's not just to sit in these classes and try to get A's and everything. To me, in my opinion, with me coming from the industry, that piece of paper means nothing. That piece of paper gets you in an interview. You have to demonstrate your knowledge for what you're interviewing for. That's the most important piece. I tell graduate students that, I tell PhD students that. When students get their PhDs, they think they defend their dissertation, they think they have it set. No. That's when the work starts. There's so many PhD students that come to me and say, I can't get a job. I say, you know what? I applied to 100 schools before the Jack Welch Management Institute gave me a chance. But then once I got in there and once I demonstrated my value within higher education, because of the way I deliver my teaching, like I said, I'm not for everybody. You may hate me. I don't know. That may be the case. But there's a lot of people that I was not their favorite, but once they got into the industry and they seen the way this game is played, because it's nothing but a game, they come back and they say, Dr. Golston, thank you. I said, the stuff you were saying that I wasn't agreeing with, that's what's going on in the industry right now. So that's the way that I deliver. I take the theory out of all this, like you see in some of these classes. Because I know, because these people come to me wanting students. And I'll be completely honest with you all. I have about 130 students across all courses. I got like close to 50 in a supply chain course after this. I've given out maybe 7 names this whole semester. Because I'm not going to risk my reputation to giving out students and those students don't work out. And I'm not going to risk giving a name for a student and that person ruins it for everybody else after them. There's some people I've gave names out to. They're in this class right now. They know who they are. But they've demonstrated that they will be successful within the industry. And I've told some of you before, whenever you're in this program, this is a 4-year interview. What you're in right now is a 4-year interview. Because every single professor that you have this semester have employers asking them for students. So whenever some of you were dropping off that call last week, that was a major mistake. That was a major mistake because Cynthia knows leaders within the industry. And if you would have reached out to her on LinkedIn and said, "Oh, I'm looking to get a role within marketing and things like," she probably could have made 2 phone calls and got you an interview. Right? But again, I mean, that's just my I'm not going to say my expectations are different, but I just want you all to be successful. Every single person, those 100 and some students this semester, I want every single one of you to be successful. So that's just why I went on my soapbox. That's why I went on my rant just now. I apologize once again. Let's get started. Any questions? All right. So what we talked about last Monday, because we had the lecture on Wednesday. Anybody?
Weren't we talking about international strategy and taking corporations to other countries and the cultural differences between them?
Yes. Excellent. So why is that? Why would that be important from a marketing perspective?
Because the technique you use in America isn't going to work in all countries. And it's important to understand the cultural differences so you don't offend the population and make your product less popular.
Mm-hmm. What would be an example?
Well, I know.
Go ahead, Brittany. Juliana, you can go after Brittany.
I really didn't have one, so if she had one, I was just going to try.
Okay, Juliana. Brittany hit us up. Brittany blessed us with some facts. So go ahead.
Well, I was like, so I know back in a few years ago, I did a project on like almost like I think I forget if it's like in China or something, but it's like the handshaking, like that could seem like offensive to certain people. I think it was like the handshake or like or something like the bowing or something like that. It was kind of like you have to like understand like kind of like what almost like what's respectful to do in business and what's not. And like sometimes like you might think, oh, a handshake is okay, but for them they might see like kind of like that's not what they do there. So it's kind of like understanding like almost like their gestures and also like the wording also can be like what might sound okay in America, it might not sound okay over there. So you have to understand like kind of like what they find offensive.
Right. Anyone else? Because I have quite a few.
I know last week we talked about selling burgers in primarily like Hindu countries doesn't really fly over too well.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. Also, yeah. So Juliana, that was a good one with the bowing. I have one that was very interesting where we had. So we were implementing an ERP application, enterprise resource planning application, right? And we had language translations within this system. And this Spanish translation was in this system for a good 6 years. But then we went down to South America and used this Spanish package. And it was brought to our attention that some of the words within this package in South America was offensive. But it's normal Spanish. It was developed by people from Mexico, right? So it's normal to Mexico language, but there's certain words in South America or in Spain, for example, they're offensive, right? So you have that strategy for one perspective from one perspective, and that would be important from a marketing standpoint. Very important, actually. So that would be one thing to consider whenever you're getting into marketing and you're starting to roll out different materials in terms of language, in geographical region. Also, there's one situation, like I said, bribes. So bribes in some countries are expected, like in China. If I'm going to be having business dealings with you, if I own a company, I'm expecting a very nice gift. If I'm about to sign a $10 million deal, I'm expecting a very nice gift. Where in America, like Walmart, Walmart cannot give you a bottled water because based on Walmart, that's considered a bribe. You have to go to the vending machine and buy yourself a bottle of water, right? So those international differences, they vary greatly. And there was ADP, yeah, ADP, the payment processing company. So they had, because they're international, a lot of companies do this, is in their employee handbook or in their supplier codes of conduct, they take all of these international, keep in mind all of these international differences. So within like the gifts and things like that, they have purposely put language in their codes of conduct, in their employee handbooks, to put it that way, explicitly say this, but they pretty much say, hey, in order for us to get business in this country, we're gonna have to act differently than we do in the US. Right? It's like it's not against the law, but it's frowned upon in the US, but it's expected in China, for example. So these things can get a little hairy whenever you start talking about international business, because I would say every single company has the same problem, especially if they're dealing internationally. And there've been numerous stories, especially like in marketing and sales, and when you're trying to woo the customer and you're taking them out on $1,000 dinners, and there've been situations where salespeople have taken the customer to clubs, just say clubs, all right, so this is a sensitive subject, and especially, I mean, it's in sales and marketing and things like that. And whenever you're trying to get a multi-million dollar deal, it can get a little complicated. All right. Anything else in terms of international business? All right. So another thing is, I think that last week's, I think you do extra messed up. So just ignore it, 'cause I think we're a week behind. So in terms of the due dates, so I'll fix that. We'll fix that on Wednesday. Um, so in terms of lesson 9, we're going into entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship's probably one of my favorite topics. But in terms of entrepreneurship, before we get started, what would be your definite? Well, why would strategic marketing be important for an entrepreneur?
Because when an entrepreneur starts off, they're usually starting with close to nothing, have a brand or anything like that. So they need to market in order to get the word out about what they're trying to say.
Absolutely. What would be, all right, anyone else? All right. So to Noah's point, whenever you are starting out, marketing is key. Marketing is going to make or break your company. And in today's world, if you're not on social media, and I always say that if you're not on social media, you don't exist. Let me back up. In some industries, the industries I'm familiar with, if you're not on social media, it's very difficult to get noticed because your competitors are all over social media, right? And social media have made a number of successful entrepreneurs, a lot of them. With Facebook, I know people that they made millions of dollars on Facebook using Facebook ads. I'm like, how do you even do that? He's like, well, back in the day with Facebook, it was simple. He's like, I was printing money and I was in my sleep. He said, now it's more difficult. He said, but it was so easy back then. So, and I think that Instagram is kind of the same way. If you create good content and you create those courses, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I buy a lot of those courses. Like something that I don't know, if they catch me on Instagram, because like the way I search and things like that, if they catch me on Instagram for like a $25 class on artificial intelligence, I'm buying that thing. It's bought. They got me. So if you create great content, you can make a lot of money because they got hundreds of suckers just like me buying that content, right? So you can make a great living off if you have a good course and it has a lot of good reviews and things like that. See, those reviews are marketing, right? You could have a very successful, and the thing is, that can be your side hustle. So you could have income coming outside of what I just read it about, right? That could have been why you left. It's like, I don't care about that. I'm starting my own company. That could have been the case. That could be the case. I don't know, right? But if you can get a job out of Penn State to pay for your insurance, and then you begin to build up, your own company, on the side, then you kind of have the best of both worlds. But I know that my peers and I, we actually get in discussions. I mean, I'm gonna leave it to discussions. Where a lot of my peers, a lot of those theorists, a lot of those people who are career academics, if you will, right? They don't respect the importance of entrepreneurship, the importance of this entrepreneurial mindset. Because even if you are going to go in the industry, if you think like an entrepreneur, you're going to have a very successful career because you're going to have that innovative thinking. You're going to have that critical thinking, and I am on the side of I would go into a full-time role. I would get the experience of the industry. But then once I get off of that, once that 5 o'clock hits, that's when that entrepreneurial mindset comes in. That's when you start doing research. That's when you start building your company. If that's what you want to do, if that's your ultimate goal, right? You take that experience that you've had in that full-time job that's keeping the lights on, that's paying for your insurance, right? And then you transfer that to the company that you wanted to start with what you're envisioning. Right? I mean, it took, and I'll be the first one to tell you that it took me a number of years to stop being scared to pull the trigger and start my own company. Right? But I think that where you all are, I mean, you're fearless. I mean, you all say, oh, screw it, I'm just gonna do it, right? So like I said, if you have that mindset, take that experience that you have with your full-time job and transfer that to what your dreams are going to be. Because coming from me, I have a few entrepreneurial, let's just say entrepreneurial endeavors going on in terms of blockchain and artificial intelligence, as well as within higher education. And once you get to that point, for me, it's not work. I'm not working. Right now, I'm not working because it's what I love. So it's not a job, right? So whenever you get to that point, you hear people saying the American dream and all this other crap. That's the American dream. Whenever you're getting paid and it's not work, that's the American dream, in my opinion. And that's what I feel I'm doing right now. I'm not burnt. I'm not burning the road up financially, but I have no worries. I have no worries. I don't have that many students complaining, so I have no worries at all. Right? You know, I have people reaching out to me to come speak at conferences. I speak at conferences. I get paid. I spend 45 minutes. I'm in and I'm out. Where's my check? That's the American dream to me. So you know, if you think about what you want to do, if you think about what you want to be when you grow up, you know, that's where I would say you have to develop a plan. You have to have a strategy. You know, I tell people ask me all the time, they're like, like, how old are you? I said, I'm 36. How are you professor before you're 40? I said, I had a strategy. Everything I do is a strategy. I don't do stuff just to do it. This is 7 years in the making, right? I spent 10 years getting all this experience in supply chain, traveling around every single week to all these companies around the world, right? And then I got my master's from Penn State. I started guest lecturing. Then I wanted to get my PhD, and now I retired from the industry. That's what I tell people. I retired at 31. I retired from the game at 31. Now I do it when I want to do it. And if they want me to come out, they pay a lot of money. They pay a lot. Because I don't have to do it. That's the entrepreneurial mindset, right? So now I myself am finally getting into the whole marketing strategy and things like that. And my strategy is if I see value, I'm hiring the best. I'm paying out of my pocket the best people in marketing right now. Just to consult with me to say, okay, is it worth my time and effort to post something on LinkedIn, you know, every day? Is it worth my time and effort to do videos on IG, you know, twice a day, twice a week, post something on Twitter twice a week? To me, it's not worth it. My people aren't in that area. My students aren't in that area. So I'm still trying to figure that out. All right. So, you know, if you have that, I know that wasn't kind of the objective of this week, but you know, if you say that we want to blend this with marketing, I always say that from an entrepreneurship mindset for business strategy, that's how you're going to build your own personal brand. What does that look like? All right. So, but how would that look? So if we're looking at it from an entrepreneurship perspective, because you all may get hired by a startup, right? So to add on to what Noah said, if you get hired by a startup as a marketing manager, what would be your approach?
It's kind of like what I'm doing now at where I'm with my internship. It's kind of they're a startup in marketing, and so it's basically just getting them out there and getting recognition, and basically trying to tell people that they are a reliable place for fixing your roof or any roof needs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you said getting out there. So how are they getting out there?
Like I'm basically running the social medias, and then running the analytics on how I can market those people that are looking for roofs.
So what social media platforms are you using?
We're on every social media out there: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're trying to get into it as well.
Okay. Now, is there a cadence? Is there like a method to the madness where it, like in terms of, okay, we're gonna post twice a day, or we're gonna post twice a week? Is there something like that you do?
Yeah, but it's basically like reading into the seasons. Basically, in the winter, people don't really fix the roofs during the winter, so we don't post as much, maybe once, twice a week. now that spring is coming, now that spring is here, we post more, maybe 3 times a day.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Yeah, so it's seasonal. I like that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But
Anything else?
you still get, I just don't know how to do it yet, but I feel like you could still get the clients in the winter. It's just we're not as big as these other roofing companies like Garber or these other roofing companies but I feel like they hired me to get them up there.
All right. So how are you gonna get them up there?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
So do you look? So who are the other big roofing companies?
There's one called Garber, and then I forgot the name of the other one. I can't think of it right now.
What do they do in terms of marketing and social media?
Yeah, that's what I've been looking at their LinkedIn's, and I've been looking at what they do differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I don't know how to read it. Basically, I'm still new at it. So basically, I talk to the person that runs analytics, and I tell them if they could like teach me on how to like what they're doing different.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, you have to I mean, that's one of the first things. So your approach, I like your approach because you got to figure out what your competitors are doing.
Yeah, that's what I because I watch a lot of YouTube videos on like marketing, and they always tell you look at the competitors that what they're doing or what they're doing different, and then if you could do it different, do it better than your competitor.
Yeah. That's it. I like that. You can do it different, do it better. Yeah. Was anyone? Thanks for that. Was anyone else going to say something?
I mean, just like looking into how many times to post during the day. I know that for Facebook and Instagram, there's something called creators. Well, it's not on the Creator Studio, but you could go into your business's page and you can look at the insights, and then it'll give you times during the week, during a specific day, like peak times when you should be posting when your audience
Really?
is like. So what was that?
I said, really? I never heard of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so you go into the insights and you can pick a specific day, and it'll have like a graph, and then you could pinpoint specific times to see how a post might do.
Is that free?
Mhm.
That's on Facebook or IG?
Both, since
Oh,
Instagram's owned by Facebook.
okay,
Wait,
Facebook.
what's it
Yeah.
called?
So you so there's Creator Studio, which allows you to schedule out posts and everything and like
Right.
kind of check on your engagement. And then on the page itself, you can look at insights, and it'll give you like
The insights is like the analytics part, or yeah, right?
basically, yeah. And you could check times that it would be best for you to post, and you get the
Yeah,
most.
Google Ads kind of like gives me an insight on things, but I think what you're talking about might give me a better perspective on things.
Yeah. And then like in terms of your research, that's like basically all I do at work. When I'm looking for how a competitor stacks up to us, I'm looking at how much engagement they're getting on a post. Even though I can't see like, like, oh, this was viewed by however many people, I look at likes, comments, interaction from the business. So like if somebody's commenting, is the business commenting back? Are they liking it? On top of that, I'm looking at what they're posting and what's doing well. So if they're posting a video that gets like 2 likes, I'm kind of like, well, that doesn't look like something that we should be posting, versus a picture versus like a picture of staff. Or even if it is a video, maybe the quality's not up to where it should be. So kind of like looking more into that, but that's
That's
basically
funny.
what I do at work.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where I hear a lot of people, like a lot of people trying to develop their personal brand. They're trying to do things like that. I'm not trying to do that, but because I'm nobody. But like the celebrities and things like that, I know people that as they do in terms like with celebrities and whatever they call them. What do they call them on social media? Influencers.
Yeah.
The what is it, the blue check mark or something? Is that like the holy grail or something?
Yeah, it means you're verified by the platform.
How do they verify? How do you get verified?
I feel like for
That's not like
big
an old man, right? Okay, I got you. 'Cause
yeah,
everybody's
like
laughing at me.
yeah, maybe it's like after you hit so many followers, but for like big celebrities, I feel like somebody from their agency would reach out and be like, "Hey, we're on this platform. Can you verify us?"
Uh,
Versus like a normal person.
Right. Got you. Anyone else have anything to share? This is a good discussion. All right. So from an entrepreneur perspective, if you're starting from scratch, what are going to be how do you all think you're going to get followers as a startup? From a strategic, how do you develop your strategic marketing plan for a startup?
I feel like it's basically you got to build a persona,
In what way?
and like a likable persona that people are gonna like you.
Okay.
That's all it is, really. You got to be likable if you want business.
So you tell me that's why I can't get followers?
I mean, if you're saying that you're not likable, I guess.
I'm just kidding. No, are you gonna say something?
Yeah, I feel like it all starts with people you already know, like
Mhm.
friends and family, and they can help spread the word too. It's like free
Yeah.
mouth advertising.
Yep. So anyone else?
Having consistency in your posts.
See that I've heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot in terms of the social media. You
Mhm.
know, and like the people I've been speaking with on that, because like I said, I'm bad at it. I'm terrible at it. I'm the worst at it. Right. I go on LinkedIn and I hit share. I find a good post from somebody else. I hit share, and then that's pretty much the extent of what I do. You know, somebody will tag me on something, and I'll forward it, and I'll throw some hashtags on it. That's pretty much the extent of what I do. Right. Yeah, I'm terrible, but I'm not trying to build a following. Right. I'm just trying to educate people. You know, so I guess that's my excuse. You know, I'm not trying to build a business out of anything, you know, but have you heard of the term the social capital? You know, what is that?
I would compare it to how much engagement you get. So social capital, likes, comments, interaction from followers.
Hmm. But how is that going to make a company money?
The more following you gain, the more likely you are to be recommended from the clients that you've had in the past. I know the place that I work for, most of our new clients have come from referrals from past clients. So it's really word of mouth if you think about it. Kind of.
Let me ask you this question. How many of your new clients come from social media?
Um, we've had a few. I
See,
can't tell
that's
you.
that's what I'm trying to figure out with all this. Right? It's like, yes, it's good to build a presence. And yes, I'm the one that said if you're not on social media, you don't exist. But how many people, how many clients really come from social media?
80%.
You say 80?
Yeah, from my company, 80%.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You know what? I think you're right. So it depends. Now it depends on the industry. It depends on the industry, because my wife found a guy, a patio guy, and
Right.
she found him on IG, and she was like, "Just look at this." I was like, "Man, that's phenomenal." I was like, I called him immediately. I was like, "I just seen you on the IG. Can you be here this week?" He's like, "I'll be here tomorrow." Okay, let's go. So I think it depends on the industry, because like construction, yeah. Because like if you're gonna use construction, that's gonna be the first place you're gonna go to Facebook, you're gonna go to Instagram to see that person's work.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So Noah, where do the majority of your people come from? I don't really see people going on IG to.
Yeah, it's more referrals. I feel like our social media side is more or less just to keep the customers there, like show them what kind of activities our residents are doing and things like that. It's more like interaction that way. I don't know how many we would actually get from Facebook. If anything, people would log on after hearing about us and check out the kind of things we offer that way, and it might like push them closer towards signing up with us. But I don't think anyone just stumbles across our Facebook page and goes, wow, like we have to have mom move in there.
Wow, this is phenomenal. She has to go. She has to go there. Rachel, don't you work for a marketing company though?
Yeah, I work for a marketing and media production company.
And you don't get referrals from social media?
We do, but I feel like our social is to showcase our brand and the work that we do, like high quality things. Because we preach content consistency. That's what we put out on our platform, which kind of ups our credibility with people looking at our social media, just because they could see, oh, what they're preaching is what they're actually practicing.
Right, walking the talk. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Juliana, do you mostly get people from the brewery from social media?
No, not really actually. So we're located like off of a walking trail, and we actually like located like near like apartments and stuff. So where we get most of our business is from people like now that's getting nicer. People like they're like, oh, we were just walking by to get ice cream, and we saw that you guys were open, and so we would get people kind of like people just like walking around. And from social media, like we don't really get like we try to be active in social media, but like I said, like that's what I was kind of trying to help them out with. Because like we'll post and most people don't even look at the post. Like they're like, oh, I didn't even know your hours and I didn't know you guys were open. I didn't know this because they don't really check our social media. They just kind of like wander around as they're walking. They're like, oh, let's check out this place. And I get it all the time. We're like, oh, we didn't know you guys were here. Like we don't know you guys were located. We didn't know you guys were open. Like, so we don't really get much of social media. We get most of people just kind of stumble across us as they're like walking by, driving by. They just kind of see us. Or we get people who had like came into Bozer once we first opened like 3 years ago. They're like, oh, we decided to give you guys another shot. Like we didn't even know you guys were still in business, and that's kind of how we get that, you know.
Appreciate that. What's this? Give me a second. Okay. Govinder, do you have anything?
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have like bad connection. One second.
Brittany, do you have anything? Any examples?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Just wondering. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think that the most important from a strategic marketing perspective from entrepreneurs. So, all right, so this is a question. Like, there's no right or wrong answer. I just want to get your insights on this. And depending upon the industry, I guess it's just going to depend on the industry. All right, so think about your industry. And if you are starting up a new business within that industry, do you think that you would be able to survive or be successful without social media?
I feel like that depends how you define successful. Like if
Are you going to be able to keep your doors open? Are you going to be able to keep your doors open without your social media presence?
it would be harder, definitely, but I think it could be done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Rachel, do you think if you did not have zero social media presence, do you think that you could keep your doors open?
Are we talking that social media is still a thing, or is it non-existent?
Social media is a thing. Your company just doesn't use it, but your competitors do.
No.
Right? How would you do it? So how would your marketing company operate without social media?
Well, I mean, we do media production too. So I mean, I guess we would have to rely more on that aspect
Like
of it.
media
Like,
production, like commercials and things?
yeah, commercials, product
What
photos.
percentage of your business, I'm just curious, like what percentage of your business is media production versus social media?
So they're kind of intertwined. most of the content that we put out on our clients' pages are from us. So we're taking videos behind the scenes, testimonials for them, product photos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like combined into one thing.
So you'll do media production, put it on their website, but then you're going to take that same exact thing and put it on social media.
Yep. Just because if you hit one channel, there's a chance that your customer's not going to see it. With algorithms, the timing's weird. They might not come up on Facebook, but it might come up on Instagram. Same with LinkedIn. So you just gotta put similar content out just
Yeah.
so you have a chance of them seeing that.
Hit different people. Very interesting. But so you see, so would you say your company was created due to social media? Like, do you, from an entrepreneur perspective, whoever started your company, they seen the vision of social media getting big, and they said, I can start a marketing company from this.
So our company started in 2012. The founder, his name is Frank. I feel like Frank definitely saw that social was up and coming and that there was going to be a big market for it. So I feel like that's one of the reasons that he jumped into it. But then also at the same time, he kind of turned like marketing, consulting, media production into one package that makes it easier for clients to like kind of hire us. So it's that mix of bringing in the social, but also making it easier for clients. You know, we're a one-stop shop.
Right. So expand on that media consulting piece.
Yeah. So we help businesses in we're like a long-term partner. We want to work with them and watch them continue to grow. So helping them find new employees. We're working with a new company now that wants to reach out to find employees more than customers. So we're kind of basing their website off of that, working with them with that. And then through commercials, we do 15, 30, and I think 10-second commercials for like products, companies, etc. Just really working with them to help their business like keep growing and not to fizzle out.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, because I'm seeing more and more of that come up in terms, because I was interviewed for a podcast, and that's what he does. You know, all he does is social media and marketing for manufacturers. He's a manufacturing marketing company. I was like, how do you make money off that? You know? He said, I bring in $500,000 a year. What? Wait a minute. You know, so I mean, and again, I mean, I told you the first week, you know, marketing is not my thing, you know. And you all, I mean, I thank you all for that, because you kind of challenged me to go into an area that I really didn't know that much about, you know, and do research on it and things like that, and connect everything, you know, with social media. Because like I said, I'm still terrible at it, but I'm getting better just because of you all, right? Y'all can send me the bill. Just kidding. But I mean, I think that, I mean, now that I look at business strategy, when I look at strategic management from a marketing perspective, it changes the game, you know. And like I said, I do not want you all to forget the fact that this discipline, the discipline that you're getting the degree on, that you're getting the degree in, I don't know why you said that, getting the degree in to build a career, is transferable to your personal brand. And I've said that before. I'm going to keep saying it. It's like all the strategies that you're building for your company, put it into yourself, right? Because you all are changing the game in this whole thing in terms of entrepreneurship. You know, you're creating different revenue streams. You know, and yeah, I don't think I've talked about. I'm wrapping up. So, you know, I hadn't talked about this whole blockchain non-fungible tokens in here, but a lot of you all at your age, you know, so the non-fungible tokens are big in the art industry where artists can pretty much create a piece of art and attach non-fungible token to it. If you've heard of, do you all hear about people selling a piece of art for like 12 million or something like that? Oh man. You heard about that, Noah?
Yeah, I've been following it a little bit.
Yeah. So
it's kind of over my head right now.
all right. So 69 million. He sold a piece of art that no one can touch. It's digital art. You can't touch it for 69 million.
Are you talking about NFTs?
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad about before. I lost connection. I could speak about Spartas too, but yeah, NFTs are great.
Yeah. So yeah, I just did a podcast on NFTs. If you go on my LinkedIn, you can let me see if I can
But
find
if I could ask you something, do you personally think they will to hold their value with everything just blowing up in their face right now?
it's blowing up in their face right. It's blowing up in their face right now because the market's getting flooded. So I hold a bunch of digital art, a bunch. But so Nifty Gateway is one of those websites where you can get digital art. So I bought this one. For it originally sold for $777, right? I bought two of them in the aftermarket for $1,000. It just sold for $3,000. And I just bought this like a month ago. So those types of art. So again, it's digital art, but the difference is that you own that NFT, you own that token, right? So you have the rights to sell that particular item because it's yours. So for this one particular item, there were only 4,157 created ever. There's only 4,157 that will ever be created, right? Now, what does this have to do with you all? This is entrepreneurship. So from a marketing perspective, like if your company had something to do with marketing, you can go on Nifty Gateway, you can go on Rarible, you can create a digital art piece and you can pump up the excitement for it and someone sells it. And now that's marketing. Right? What's Elon's partner's name?
Grimes.
Grimes, yeah. So Grimes had something on here.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get two of her pieces.
Yeah, shit. Grimes has something on here. I didn't get any of those. See, now everyone wants to. This is her. She has some. So the thing with these is that the market's getting flooded. So that one sold for 7,500. Only 300 is ever going to be created, right? Let me see if this one held its value. Because some of these things are crashing. All right, so that one somewhat held its value. So last sold for 8,800. But by the time all the fees come in and Grimes gets hurt, so Nifty Gateway is going to get their fee. Grimes is going to get her fee. So that's the beauty with NFTs. So Grimes created this art. Grimes, although she doesn't need the money, she sold it for 7,500. Okay. Once this person sold that piece that he or she purchased for 8,800, Nifty Gateway gets a cut and Grimes gets a cut because she's a creator of that art. That's the beauty of this NFT space. I don't care how many times you sell it, because every time you sell it, I'm going to get my piece. So for you all in the art space, for you all in the marketing space, That's huge. So like your organization could do that, and if that piece is popular enough, your company's popular enough, you're gonna get a cut every time that thing gets resold. Right? So I got called out. I got called to the table about these things because I did say I'm a big collector of NFTs, and I'm big in blockchain. And someone came to me and said, Justin, he's like, what do you think about the impact on the environment with these NFTs? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, you don't know how much energy this thing emits to just one NFT? So I did because it's on Ethereum blockchain. Well, I'm getting deep, but it emits a lot of it for one NFT. For one NFT, it's the equivalent of a 1-hour flight for one. And these things, so Grimes, just for this one, she made it 300. That's 300. That's 303 hours of flight for this one thing that's digital, right?
I don't get it though, because can't you just copy and paste something from Google that looks just like that, and then you have it to look at?
But yes, that's true. That's true. That is true, right? But that person who copied and pasted it, they don't own that piece. They don't own that piece. You own that piece.
Yeah.
So it says you copied it, and the thing is, you have a hash. There's a hash behind it, so that is your. So that can be your particular hash, right? And the thing is, there's only for this one, there's only 303 in the world made, right? So here's another one. So if we're done. So you can drop if you want. I'm on. So we're not talking about anything entrepreneurial. Well, this is entrepreneurial, but so NBA Top Shot. So this is like collector cards. So this is big as well within here. Let me stop recording. We're done. Let me stop this recording. Where is this recording? Stop recording.